Daphne Rose's arrival at Forrester Creations was meant to be a triumphant homecoming of talent and friendship, yet it quickly became a crucible of passion, betrayal, and ambition that would forever alter the landscape of the fashion empire she had once admired from afar. Invited by her lifelong friend Steffi Forrester to craft a signature fragrance that would encapsulate the essence of the storied house, Daphne traversed the halls of marble and glass with the confidence of a master perfumer whose creations had graced royal courts and red carpet galas. She embraced her daily rituals with ease, distilling the rarest blossoms, coaxing out the subtlest ambergris notes, blending them until they breathed life into a bottle. Yet behind her graceful composure, Daphne harbored a deeper purpose: to heal Carter Walton's wounded spirit, guide him in restoring his family's birthright, and perhaps, secretly, win his heart as hers had pounded in the shadows of shared confidences. Carter, newly returned from the brink of corporate exile, struggled under the weight of his father's empire, guilt roiling in his veins like acid at the thought that he had once considered hijacking the Forrester legacy. Seeing him falter, Daphne offered unwavering encouragement, a kind word here, a late-night brainstorming session there, her laughter a balm that lifted the corners of his mouth and eased the tension in his brow. She told him that Forrester Creations yearned for his visionary leadership, that his soul belonged not to boardroom battles, but to the artistry that had always defined his family's name. With each meeting, each stolen glance at the corner of Carter's eye as he inhaled the rich cedarwood notes she had layered into the initial accords, Daphne allowed her own heart to unravel, convincing herself that their bond held the promise of more than professional camaraderie. As Carter's confidence surged, so too did his reliance on Daphne's steady hand. He would consult her at dawn over espresso, her scent sketches strewn across the tabletop, and she would linger a moment longer than necessary, savoring the hush of early morning that cocooned them from prying eyes. Hope Logan remained the bright flame of his past, a love he could not deny, but Daphne saw in Carter's hesitations the cracks of uncertainty, and she resolved that her gentle persistence would widen them into a gulf. She subtly sowed discord. A casual remark about Hope's defense of Carter's every misstep, questions about whether Hope truly understood the burdens he carried, reminders that a woman who insisted on justification for his choices might one day force him to defend the life they were meant to build. Carter listened, torn between loyalty to the woman who had stood by him through every corporate maelstrom and the intoxicating allure of Daphne's sympathetic ear. He felt guilt twist in his gut, yet a spark of excitement ignited whenever Daphne's hand brushed his arm, her voice soft as she praised his courage, her eyes alight with admiration he had not seen in Hope's forgiving gaze. It was during one of those fragile moments, an evening when Hope had declared her unwavering support for Carter's plan to return the company to its founding heirs, that Daphne slipped into Carter's thoughts like a dream made flesh, overhearing a misunderstanding. That Hope, in her fervor for Liam Spencer's well-being, had whispered confession of love to him in a moment of crisis. Carter's world tilted, and Daphne, ever present, offered solace. She pressed a kiss to his cheek, gently coaxed him closer, and in the soft glow of the loft apartment he rented downtown, whispered words that dissolved his shame and kindled a deeper fire. "I believe in you in ways no one else ever could." In that night's hush, they surrendered to impulse, to the belief that longing whispered louder than loyalty, and Daphne remained by his side until the sky thaped with dawn. When morning light streamed through the curtains, Daphne believed their unspoken pact to be sealed, convinced that Carter's renewed passion would eclipse any flicker of Hope's devotion. Yet fate conspired against her designs. Mere hours after Daphne slipped away from Carter's bed to return to her atelier, Hope appeared at the apartment door, her eyes shining with relief, and Carter's explanation tumbled out in stammered apologies. Hope's voice, calm but resolute, dispelled the confusion. She had never betrayed Carter's confidence, had only expressed gratitude for Liam's friendship in a moment of vulnerability, and cared for Carter with a depth that transcended fear of failing a legacy. Carter's heart faltered as he heard Hope's unwavering devotion, his guilt a tempest greater than any Daphne had stirred. Stricken with remorse, he rushed to Hope's side, leaving Daphne's hopes crumpled in the wake of his departure. Daphne, crestfallen and betrayed, packed her belongings with feverish haste and fled Los Angeles for the Paris she had once called home, vowing that distance would dull her ache and restore her equilibrium. She walked the Seine's banks in solitude, the scent of lavender from her uncle's fields in Provence a painful reminder of what she had lost. Yet in the quiet galleries of the Marais and the gilded salons of Saint-Germain, Daphne discovered that her world was shifting in more profound ways than heartbreak. A test she had postponed arrived with the news she carried beneath her ribs. She was pregnant with Carter's child. The revelation struck her like a tremor, her hands trembling as she touched the curve of her belly, the single most profound bond she now shared with Carter, a bond that Hope, in all her love, could never replicate. Daphne's thoughts raced. Carter and Hope, once reunited and enraptured by the promise of a future together, would soon learn that their plans were incomplete, that a new life was growing beyond their knowledge or consent. Determined not to let this gift fade into the shadows of regret, Daphne resolved to return to Los Angeles when the time was right, to unveil the truth that would upend Carter's world and compel him to embrace a destiny neither he nor Hope could foresee. She envisioned her grand comeback, stepping into Carter's life once more, pregnant and luminous with confidence, the living testament to a love he had tried to forget. In her mind's eye, she saw Carter's surprised gaze, Hope's stunned disbelief, and the moment when Carter would extend a trembling hand to Daphne Rose, acknowledging that the child she carried was the missing piece in his fractured heart. And so, although Daphne may have left the halls of Forrester Creations, her presence lingered like a signature note in her own fragrance. Subtle yet indelible, destined to reveal itself at precisely the moment when Carter Walton would realize that no legacy, no matter how storied, could rival the legacy of their unborn child, the one true heir who would bind their fates together forever. In the world of the bold and the beautiful, where every twist of fate and sudden medical crisis can send shockwaves through the Forrester family and beyond, the recent storyline surrounding Liam Spencer's purported diagnosis of terminal brain cancer has provoked a level of skepticism and outright disbelief among the soap's most devoted viewers that few plotlines in recent memory have managed to achieve. From the moment Liam, a man defined by his fierce loyalty to Hope Logan and his devotion to his children, confessed that he had only months to live, fans have questioned whether this dramatic turn represents the tragic culmination of a beloved character's arc or whether it has become, in the eyes of many, a grand deception orchestrated by the writers. The first complaint centers on the glaring lack of realism in the manner Liam's illness has been portrayed. A true patient facing end-stage brain cancer would be under the constant care of specialized oncologists, undergoing regular chemotherapy sessions or experimental treatments, and monitored in a hospital setting that reflects the gravity of his condition. Instead, viewers have watched Liam wander the grounds of Forrester Creations, indulge in impromptu visits to Hope's loft, and carry on with board meetings and family celebrations as if a fatal diagnosis were little more than a fleeting afternoon concern. The absence of intravenous drips, medical wards crowded with worried family members, and the all-too-common side effects of radiotherapy, hair loss, debilitating fatigue, cognitive lapses, has led many to conclude that Liam's battle is more a narrative convenience than an authentic representation of a man grappling with imminent mortality. Compounding the disbelief is the curious omission of Liam's other children from this storyline's emotional center. Whereas Kelly Spencer, his daughter from a previous relationship, and Beth Spencer, the daughter he shares with Hope, should surely have been drawn into the urgent drama, neither appears to have been informed of their father's dire prognosis. Beth, old enough to sense that something is terribly wrong, remains blissfully unaware and continues to attend preschool and afternoon tea with Ridge and Brooke, never once asked to confront the possibility that her daddy might not be there to tuck her in at night. Kelly, who, during her brief time on the canvas, was shown wrestling with her own grief at not being fully integrated into Liam's life, has all but vanished from the narrative, as if her character were expendable in service of a male-centric plot about one man's final weeks. Douglas, the boy whose very existence symbolizes Liam's capacity for compassion and unlikely fatherhood, also remains in the dark, making his absence all the more conspicuous. How can Douglas fully understand why his beloved Uncle Liam no longer visits the theme park or reads him bedtime stories without ever mentioning the specter that haunts his every breath? In weaving a tale of terminal illness without bringing his children into the fold, the writers risk painting Liam as a neglectful father, a man so consumed by his own fate that he forgets the tether his children represent. A flaw that feels at odds with the fiercely caring man who fought for custody and who once declared that family was his greatest treasure. The swirl of fan theories reaches its peak when viewers speculate that Liam's cancer may be nothing more than a ruse engineered to provide an exit strategy for actor Scott Clifton, whose future on the show has become the subject of rampant rumor. Speculation that Clifton might be trading Los Angeles for a return to The Young and the Restless or a new contract on Days of Our Lives has permeated soap opera fan forums, where unprecedented skepticism greets every clinical consultation scene and every tear-streaked hug exchanged between Liam and Hope. Could it be that the terminal diagnosis was invented simply to facilitate the actor's departure, a storyline so extreme that it discourages fans from expecting a miraculous recovery? Such an approach, fans argue, would be nothing new in the annals of daytime drama, yet it strikes many as a cheat, an act of narrative expediency that leaves the audience feeling manipulated rather than moved. After all, the last time the Bold and the Beautiful mounted a large-scale medical drama of the scope was when Ridge Forrester lost his memory and forgot how to sketch following a harrowing helicopter crash, a storyline that, while melodramatic, at least employed a sense of cool detachment from mortality. By contrast, Liam's impending death carries a finality that seems too raw, too permanent for a character whom viewers have come to see as invincible in his emotional resilience. Yet even as incredulity reigns among skeptics, the writers press on, steering Liam toward daily confrontations with steely oncologists who deliver ominous pronouncements off-screen, urging him to get his affairs in order while conveniently sparing the audience the sight of his physical decline. Hope Logan, poised and radiant despite her lover's prognosis, has been cast in the role of die-hard caregiver, her tears reserved for moments of heightened drama and her expression carefully managed so as to avoid unsettling viewers with too much grief. In contrast to Hope's steadfast support, other characters, most notably Steffy Forrester and Thomas Forrester, appear to regard Liam's condition with polite concern, as if he were enduring a minor setback rather than a terminal sentence. This uneven emotional calibration has only fueled the notion that Liam's battle is a transitory plot device, deployed when the story calls for heightened romance between Hope and her paramours, then shelved when the next scandal demands center stage. As fans debate Liam's future on social media, Hashtags like #FakeCancerPlot and #BringBackRealDrama trend alongside heartfelt pleas to write the character out with dignity rather than grind his legacy into soap opera cliché. Some suggest that a true redemption would lie in rewriting Liam's diagnosis as a misdiagnosis, thus restoring his health and allowing him to continue as the heroic father and romantic lead his fans adore. Others argue for a full-blown scandal, exposing that a shadowy pharmaceutical executive paid off the hospital to brand the diagnosis false, thereby turning Liam's life into a cautionary tale about corporate corruption rather than a one-man weeper. Meanwhile, soap's fans who relish high-stakes medical intrigue grumble that the show's creative team has forgotten what made the bold and the beautiful thrilling in the first place, a willingness to embrace the outrageous, to show the harsh realities of life even while indulging in fantasy. By underplaying the tangible horrors of brain cancer, the storyline risks collapsing under its own implausibility, losing the emotional stakes that once made viewers tune in day after day. Beyond the question of veracity lies the deeper issue of dramatic integrity. In a genre that thrives on sudden deaths, surprise resurrections, and whirlwind romances, audiences yearn for storylines that, while larger than life, retain an internal logic and respect for the characters they follow. Liam Spencer's journey from devastated father mourning a lost baby to a man confronting his own mortality had the potential to be one of the most powerful arcs in recent daytime history. A journey through fear, love, and acceptance that might have given Clifton a chance to flex his dramatic muscles and allowed Hope's character to shine in raw, unfiltered grief. Instead, by skirting genuine medical procedures and keeping key family members in the dark, the plot feels hollow, as if the writers are more interested in the headlines a terminal diagnosis can generate than in the authentic exploration of love and loss. Despite the chorus of skepticism, the show continues to march Liam toward an uncertain fate. Rumors that the next episodes will feature a surprise twist, a remission, a tragic accident, or the revelation of a shadowy fifth option circulate relentlessly, fueling speculation that the writers have not abandoned Liam, but are merely teasing the ultimate payoff. Will Liam rally in a triumph of willpower and medical innovation, returning to fatherhood and romance with renewed vigor? Or will he succumb to the disease, leaving Hope bereft once more and prompting a fresh cycle of grief, courtship, and corporate intrigue? Perhaps the answer lies in whether Scott Clifton's departure is truly on the horizon or whether he remains under contract, poised to stay as long as the audience will accept even the most radical departures from realism. For now, viewers must tune in each day and watch as Liam's storyline unfolds, weighing every scene against the knowledge that in the realm of the bold and the beautiful, nothing is ever quite what it seems. Whether this chapter will end in tears or triumph, certainty or scandal, depends not only on the next script, but on the willingness of fans to suspend disbelief and embrace the soap's enduring motto, expect the unexpected, even if it defies every shred of medical credibility. Until that final act plays out, Liam Spencer's terminal brain cancer remains the ultimate cliffhanger, an enigma that may define a generation of fans either as the most audacious plot in soap opera history or as the greatest conspiracy ever foisted upon daytime drama.